Hi, I'm Lois Haggard from the New Mexico Department of Health. This is part 1 of the training video series for developing an IBIS query module. This is a high-level overview and a good starting place for anyone who needs to learn how to do that. I'm going to talk about the IBIS application and how the 3 parts of the application interact with SAS to provide custom query results to an IBIS user. I'll take you through the IBIS query sequence and talk about what is happening behind the scenes. The IBIS application consists of 3 applications: IBIS-Admin, IBIS-View, and there's IBIS-View, and HiIQ-Func, also known as IBIS-Q. IBIS-Admin has nothing to do with the queries, so we're not going to talk about that piece in this video. These are the parts of the application where files reside that are maintained by public health staff and not IT staff or software developers. We call those public health staff query content developers. Content is not how the application works, but what we put into it for our users to see. Not the plumbing behind the wall, but the water that comes out of the faucet, so to speak. We control the content through creating and maintaining SAS datasets, back-end IBIS files, and XML files. IBIS-View is what's called forward-facing. It serves up the files that the user sees. The XML files control the query selection and query builder screens that the user sees. The IBIS-Q files are called back-end files because they reside behind the IBIS-View app on the same server as the application and the datasets. We're going to go over the internet and how it works in very, very basic terms. So the computer terminal here on the left is a user. The box on the right is a server, and they talk to each other through this cloud in the middle. That's the internet. The user sends a request to the internet via a URL, or a universal resource locator. This is a text string that tells the internet which server to send the request to, and also what resource or what file it's requesting. The server then serves back the resource in the form of another text file formatted as HTML, or hypertext markup language. Note the text inside these angle brackets in the HTML. These are called tags, and tags are central to the standard structure of both HTML and XML files. So the HTML that was requested, that was sent to the user, gets displayed in the user's browser. The browser was designed to read and interpret HTML. So everything we do in IBIS-Q content development is designed to control what is available on the server and to make it accessible to the user. Now for the query sequence and how it fits into that internet paradigm. So an IBIS user navigates to the query selection page. This is the query selection page. And it's just a page that has links to query builder pages in the IBIS-View application. So the user selects crude death rates, and they get the crude death rate query builder page. Here's the URL for this example page. Now here's what was happening behind the scenes. Here the user sends the URL to the IBIS-View application. IBIS-View sends it to a page-related controller. This is the Java part of the IBIS-View application. And this controller knows that because of the file that was requested, or the page that was requested, it needs to find a certain XML file and pair it up with a specific XSLT file, and those 2 files are combined to create an HTML file that's then sent to the user. Here on the Query Builder page, the user selected 3 years of data. They left the cross by dimension geographic area, that's the default cross by dimension, and clicked the Submit button. Here's what was happening. Oh, and now at this point IBIS-View actually starts to send the results page, but instead of the data result on the page, the user sees this "please wait" message. So here's what was happening. The user clicked the Submit button, and that told IBIS-View that their selections were complete. IBIS-View grabbed their selections and created its own URL that it sent to the IBIS query application. That's a special URL, and I'll do a whole video on it later. So the IBIS-Q application knows from the URL which of these back-end files it needs, and it combines them with the selections on the URL to write a SAS program and submits that SAS program to the SAS application. SAS then runs the program against the SAS datasets and sends a rectangular data file back to IBIS-Q. Here's what that data file looks like. So here are our geographic locations, 33 New Mexico counties. This top row is a total row with a rate of 811.20. And this is the numerator, denominator, confidence limits, and reliability flag. These were all stable rates. Now the IBIS-Q application takes that rectangular data set and formats it as XML. XML is just a special form of HTML. HTML has a limited number of instructions or tags that it can use. With XML, we can program special tags and instructions that can be read by these XSLT files to create the standard HTML. So IBIS-View does that same trick again with the XML and pairs it with an XSLT file, creates HTML, and sends that page to the user. Here's what the XML looks like. If you remember that rectangular data file, the top record was the total records signified by that dot, and the rate was 811.20. So this is that top record of the rectangular data set. And here's what it looks like in the user's browser. Pretty slick. This is the end of the Developing an IBIS Query Module Part 1. I recommend that you watch this video as many times as you need until you understand the query sequence. Subsequent videos in this series will step through the sequence and various types of files used in much greater detail.